In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add great login and sign up functionality to your website using the Plus add-ons. Here's the login page we're going to build. We have a login tab, a sign up tab. We have a lost password button right here and the functionality for the lost password. And this is all in one widget. I'm going to show you how it all works, all the settings you have with this widget in this tutorial. We then added this widget to a header navigation menu. Right now we have it set so that when you hover over it, our login options appear. We have the login and sign up tab just like before, lost password, and it all stays within this nice little hover box. You can have that appear when someone clicks on the icon. You can have it be a pop-up when someone clicks on that icon. You can put this icon wherever you want. It's an Elementor widget. Anywhere you can put an Elementor widget, you can have this functionality, which is pretty slick. I'm going to show you how to do all of it in this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below this video. I'll answer them the best I can. My name is Bjorn, all past from WP Learning Lab, where we help you get better at WordPress so you can earn more for yourself, for your customers, and for your business. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. And now let's build these flashy, awesome login forms. To get started making awesome login forms, we need two things on our site at a minimum. One is Elementor, and the next is the Plus add-ons for Elementor Page Builder. I've got a bunch of tutorials for the Plus add-ons in a playlist on this channel, linked to in the description down below, as well as a walkthrough of all the features available for this add-on, and there is a lot of them, over 100. So it's a great add-on to have, and the login capabilities you'll see in this tutorial are actually pretty cool. So I have only those two plugins installed, and if I go to Pages and Add New, we make a new page with Elementor. Let's call it login/registration and click on Edit with Elementor. In the first part of this video, we're going to create a standalone login page. So I'm going to change the layout for the page to Elementor Canvas, so we get rid of the top menu up here. But later in the video, I'm going to show you can add the login widget to your main menu navigation if you want to. With the click of a button, you can open the login, or even hovering. You'll see all these features in a little bit, and it's quite slick how it all works. And if we minimize all these, we'll go down to the Plus add-ons. Here they start right here, Plus Essential, and they have all these widgets, plus listing, more widgets, plus creatives, more widgets, plus tab, plus adapted. These are all from that single Plus add-ons plugin. Plus there's a lot of features that are added to existing widgets that you may already have if you have Elementor Free or Elementor Pro. The one we want is right here, WP Login and Register. I'm going to drag and drop that over, and we have a login form. This looks a lot like the Elementor login form. If you've used that before, you'll recognize this appearance right here. Big difference right out of the box. You click on Lost Password, and it goes to a Lost Password tab. Over here, we can choose to have a login or a register form, or you can have a login and register form, and you can switch between the two using these tabs. Or you can have just a forgot password form. So you can have dedicated pages for each of these. You could create a login page, you could create a separate register page, you could create a separate forgot password page, or you can run it all through one form, which is the login and register form. We have login, sign up, and lost password functionality all in the same form. They don't have to leave this form at all to do any of these things. And as we've all come to expect with an add-on for Elementor, this is completely customizable. Everything is customizable. So let's get started. There's a lot of options. Let's go to the sign up form extra options. So this is specific to the sign up form. If you click on sign up, the changes we make will be reflected here. So right now we have first name, last name, and email, which we see left here as these options. Display name field, first name, last name, and they have to have at least an email to register, so you can't turn that on or off. I can turn off the name fields, go back to the sign up, and we have just the email. So people can register with just an email. And every time we make a change that affects the sign up tab, we have to go back to the sign up tab, which is kind of annoying. As you see, I turn on the password field, have to go back to the sign up tab. I disable strong passwords, have to go back to the sign up tab. Fairly annoying, but there's a workaround. So if you wanted to have this all-inclusive form, login and register, and you wanted to work on the sign up tab, but without switching back and forth, you can just switch to the register option under select, make all your changes here, and those will be reflected in the login and register form when you switch back to that one later. It's maybe not the ideal, but it works. Before we get started creating an awesome login form, I'm going to quickly show you the select style options. We have a standard form, which we see here. We can choose, since it's the login form, so it's more of a standard form. We can choose button hover. So now we have a button. Hover over it, the login form appears. You can probably imagine this being in a navigation menu. It's pretty slick. There's a button click. It could be in a navigation menu. On hover, it doesn't do anything, but when you click on it, it opens. You can also have a button pop-up. Click on it, and pop-up appears. And you can do this with the tabbed form that we had earlier. Button pop-up, now we have our tabs. Sign up and log in, or button click, sign up and log in tabs. Pretty slick. And hover as well, just to show you the last one. Sign up and log in tabs, pretty awesome stuff. We'll take a look at that later when we're adding this form to our navigation menu. For right now, let's go to register so we can customize the register form without having to tab back and forth. So sign up form extras, you can have name fields like we saw. I'm going to take off the last name, so just first name and email, that's all I need to register. You can display a password field, in which case they have to create a password. Or if you don't show that, a password will be emailed to them, or a link will be emailed to them. Click on the link and they can generate their own password or create their own password. You can have reCAPTCHA activated if you want. MailChimp subscribe activated. This relies on you adding your list ID and client ID, I believe, for MailChimp into the settings. So if we go to the Plus Addon settings, let's see if we can find where these settings are. Extra options, I believe. Go down to, there it is, MailChimp API key and list ID. Whatever you enter here will be used across all places where you activate MailChimp with the Plus add-ons. But there may be times where you want to make a page where it adds people to a different list. You can come into here and choose MailChimp individual list ID and API key. Turn that on. The API key will be the same because that's for your general MailChimp account. And the list ID will be different. And you can add that here. And then when people use this specific form, they'll be added to this specific list. This will take priority over what you set in the main settings, which is pretty awesome. So we can have MailChimp and we can turn on terms and conditions if we want. They have to agree to that before they can submit the form. You can choose a user role, so when they subscribe, they can become a specific user role. These are some default ones and some WooCommerce ones and a Translate Press one down here. You might have made custom user roles or have different plugins that create other user roles. Just pick the user role you want. You probably don't want to use administrator, editor, or author as your public form. Maybe you do, but I wouldn't. Those I'd create manually and give to the people who need them. I'd usually use subscriber. And if you have a membership plugin, you'd have the subscriber level. So you can choose different subscriber levels. So if they fill out the free form, they can become a free member. You get the idea. Form heading, you can turn that on here. It puts a heading above the form. And we can say, register below. Nice form heading. Registration options, we can have labels on the fields or not. If we want to have custom placeholders, we can turn on the custom label. You have to turn on the form label to have custom labels. But if you don't want to have the labels up here, so I tried to click and highlight, couldn't do that. But if you don't want to have the form labels, and you turn this off, no form labels, but then you can't customize the placeholders. To do that, to get around that, you turn on form label and custom label, and you just delete the label name. We don't have the last name field, but delete it anyway in case we add it later. And then you can have placeholders. Please enter your name. And then your last name, first name, and email address. So now we have custom placeholders and we've removed the labels if that's what we want to do. We can change the terms and condition text right here. We can send them to a specific page after they register if we want to. Just enter the link here. It has to be on the same domain. You can't redirect to somewhere off-site. It has to be somewhere on your website. You can log them in right after they register, and here you can customize some text for that. You can have an after login panel, which is a little panel that has information and links about a user's account. I'll show you that after we log in later. You can have an additional message at the bottom if you want. Here it says, note, your password will be generated automatically and sent to your email address. You can change that text right here. You can change the button text. You can have social login and sign up with Facebook and Google. You notice as I turn these on, nothing happens. Those are also over here in the settings. You need to have the, where are they? Google Client ID and Facebook App ID. And for the reCAPTCHA that we saw earlier, you need the site key and the secret key. So there's a lot of keys to obtain. You obtain those and put them in these fields, and then those options will work. These links will take you to pages where there's information on how to get those IDs. So you turn them on here, and they'll be turned on. Then you have some settings for those. And there's lost password options, which we'll cover later when we have the lost password link back. The My Account panel, this is the panel I mentioned earlier that you see after you log in. You have an edit profile link, a logout link, and you can add additional items. We'll check this out more when we actually log in after we created our login form. Notification messages. These are messages referring to stuff you're doing with the form. If there's any errors or you have to wait for something, these are messages you can customize for your users so they can see what's going on. And we have the reset password option. When they reset a password, we can force them to make a strong password. Turn that on right here. Register field size. This allows us to customize the size. You can see this is quite wide, this register field. You can shrink it right down if you want to. What I prefer to do is keep them full, just add columns. So I'm going to add a column on the right, and over here I might add a picture. I've got a picture on the site already. This young lady here listening to music, and a register form here. So I like to have the column define the width of my form, but as you saw a moment ago, you can change that as well if that doesn't work right here. And these are all responsive, so you can change the field size for various screen sizes. So let's change this from 0 back to full. And so all these sliders will adjust the width of whatever they're referring to. And then we have styling options. I'm not going to go too much into these because these are pretty standard across a lot of different Elementor add-ons. If you've used Elementor for any amount of time, this will all look very, very familiar. So the form label up here, if I change the color, you can see what the form label is, but there are no labels because I turned them off or I deleted them. So this would be the color of the text that's above the form fields. Form input fields, we have placeholder color, which you see here. We can change that color however we want. I like to make it a little bit lighter gray. And of course, when people click into the fields and start typing, the placeholder disappears and just what they typed in is left. You can change the field size right here with the padding. You add padding to make them bigger. But I think they're pretty good size as they are. This can be changed based on device as well, which is important because the fields aren't always the right size for every specific device. So make sure you take advantage of that responsive ability in Elementor. This is a pretty neat feature right here. We can change the design of the color and background of the form fields and text in them depending on whether you're clicked into that field or not. So when you're in focus, that means you clicked into the field. So if I change this color to this blue, for example, and change the normal to red, and we come in here and start typing, we see we're typing in blue. When I click out of it, it goes to red, which is an interesting visual cue that'll let people know where they are in the form. You might never use that, but it is available to you, as you just saw. Change the border options, the border radius, the box shadow. I usually do like adding box shadows to forms, and I like to offset them a little bit like that. So it looks like they're floating up in the air. Put the spread down so the shadow isn't that big. You can also change these on focus. So if you were to have a slightly bigger shadow on focus, people will know that they're in that field. That's probably too big. Not subtle, not as subtle as I would like, but you get the idea. You can change those things when it's normal, meaning they're not clicking into that field, or when the field is on focus, meaning they are clicked into it. The form button, right here, the register button, you can change all these settings for that. The heading option, which is right here, change the color to prove it. You can change the typography and the color of that. The register additional message, which is this one right here, the note. You can change that here if you wanted. So let's make that green. Let's make that gray. Green is a little in your face. The lost password page can't be accessed from here, so let's not do that. Lost password back arrow styling, not relevant here. Terms and conditions, we'll see those in a minute. They're just not relevant on the register form. Terms and conditions, you can adjust the terms and conditions. Most notably, when someone clicks on it, there's a check mark. You can change that check right here. So unchecked and checked. So if you want the check to be a different color, let's make that one green. Now we have a green check instead of a blue check. And notification message options are right here. Those are the messages that appear when there's an error, when someone enters the wrong email address, or if the form is processing and it says please wait. These are the color options for that. The after login panel is the panel that we'll see in a minute after we log in. And the box content option, this is the registration box itself. So if I change the color or the background type to color and make it gray, we see that this is the actual registration box that this is referring to. Those are the options for styling that. And now that we've customized our register portion the way we want it, we can go back to login and register from our form layout selection. Click on sign up, and we see all the things we did are applied right here. So that saved us from doing all the sign up side adjustments while using the login and register, because every time you make a change, it flips back to the login side, and you have to click into the sign up side to see what your change did, which can be a bit of a hassle. So that's the way you get around that. And you have a very similar set of options for the login side of things. The sign up form extras we saw with the sign up form, registration form. We have the form heading options. Since we have both login and sign up now visible, we have login heading text right here, and we have our registration heading text right here. Keep those as they are. Login options, we can have labels and custom labels just like we saw a moment ago. And you can delete the labels here if you want to delete the labels. I'm going to keep them in there. And you can have a remember me button. You can have the lost password button. You can turn those on or off. I'm going to turn off the register link because we have the sign up button right up here. And we can also redirect after we log in. Just put the URL right here, and I'll redirect to a specific page after they log in. And we have the social sign-up options, which we already saw. Lost password options we didn't look into because we didn't have the lost password link, but now we do. If I click on lost password, we're taken to the lost password tab or lost password page. We click on lost password label to turn it on. And as we see, we're taken back to the main login thing. This is the same thing that would have happened if we edited the sign-up page using this setup, which is a bit of a hassle, always being flipped back and forth. You can get around this as well by just choosing the forgot password here, then reverting back to the complete login and register form. When someone resets their password, they get an email with a link, and we can set them to the default WordPress page to reset their password, or you can create a custom page. Choose that, choose a page down here. These are all the pages currently created on the site. You want to create a dedicated one for the forgot password. Then you have these reset password options that will appear on that page. When I set this back to the default page, you'll notice that the reset password options disappear because those are specific to that custom page. Lost password options, you can go through those here, and the reset password option, force them to have strong passwords or not. I usually force them to have strong passwords. They're harder to remember, but they keep your site safer. So once you've customized all those things, you can go back to login and register. Now we're back to here, and the lost password page now has our options in place, whatever options those were. In our case, we didn't do very many. Since we're using a different form layout, which is the login and register form layout, which is the most complete form, we now have more style options. You can see them all in here. We have, additionally to what we saw earlier, the lost password reset styling. We actually saw those earlier, but they actually work now because we have the lost password page. We have the back arrow styling for this. Let's make the back arrow blue. Make it pretty large. If we go to last password, we see there is no back arrow, and this is usually a caching issue. If there's something that's displaying on your form that doesn't look like mine that you see here, it is a caching problem. And you can fix that by going to the settings under the plus settings and then performance, and then clicking on purge all cache. And that purges the cache related to the Plus add-ons. I'm going to publish this so we save our work. and refresh. And now if we go to lost password, the arrow still isn't there. So clearly that was not the issue. Let's try something else. Let's go to our lost password, to style, and then lost password back arrow styling. And let's just change our icon. Let's just change it to a down arrow. There we go. Now our arrow's there. Let's change it back to left arrow. I think that's the most applicable to a lost password. And now we have our arrow right here. And when someone clicks on that, I'm going to make it a little smaller. When someone clicks on that, it goes back to the login page. And even though clearing the cache didn't fix this issue, I have had other issues that were fixed by clearing the cache. One specifically was when I loaded the form one time, these tabs, the login and sign up tab, appeared as a bulleted list and the links weren't clickable. So it wasn't working right. I cleared the cache and that fixed it. So clearing the cache does help. It just didn't in this specific case with the back arrow. And a big addition for our styling options is the ability to customize our tabs. So the login register tabbing is an option we didn't have before, and we can change these tabs that are up here. And I'm going to change them to be a little more subtle. I'm going to change the border type, the border radius to 0. I don't want them to be rounded, just want them to be square. And when they're active, I'm going to change them to be the text to be white, the background to be dark gray, and that's fine the way it is there. There we go. It's a little more subtle. I like how it looks better. It's a matter of preference. You can adjust everything, as you've seen already. You can adjust pretty much every single thing. So now that we have a form that is functional, I'm going to save this and we're going to register an account and we're going to log in. We're going to take a look at the after login panel that I've mentioned before. So let's go and visit this page. And I'm logged in, so I just see this. This is actually the after account panel right here because I'm logged in. But let's show the actual process of how this works. Okay, let's just center this in the page. This takes a few seconds. Go to the section settings for height. Go to fit to screen and update that. This is more like a true login form now. That's quite a nice login form. And I'm not going to register on this form. I'm actually going to change it a little bit because what I realized is this is a local site and my local sites have not been sending me emails on a consistent basis. So I fear that I won't get the email, then I can't finish this part of the tutorial. So I'm going to change this area, this registration area, to have a password option that we create ourselves instead of us receiving an email where we reset the password. So I go back into the form here and under the sign up page, we want to add a password field and get rid of this message down below. So under the sign up extra options here, sign up form extra options, we want to turn on display password field, which gives us our password fields. And we want to, under registration options, turn off the additional message at the bottom because that no longer makes sense because we're not getting an email with the password. We're creating our password right here. So let's update this form, head back to our form out here and refresh the page. Go to sign up. Now we have our password fields. Let's enter my middle name because I already have an account with my first name. And this email address, I believe, is not on the website. Password is going to be a simple one. It might tell me it's not complex enough. Click on register. Now I think we have an account. Now if I log in with my email address and my password, we now have our login panel. So that worked. That was pretty slick. That's how quickly we can have a sign up and login created on our site. So this is the login panel that I mentioned earlier. If I go back to, I have too many tabs open, so I got to go back this way. So if I go back to here, we have options for that little panel under the My Account panel. We can turn this on or off. So we can not have that panel there if we don't want it, or we can have it there. I'm going to center mine. I'm going to keep the edit profile, keep the log out text. I'm going to add an additional item so you can see how that works. Let's call this My Courses. Let's say you're selling courses on your site, and this will go to the course page. Ideally, you'd be using some kind of plugin to create your courses and memberships. So you'd have one URL that the user would go to, and they'd access whatever courses are available to their membership level. So you just have one link in here. You wouldn't want to have a unique link here for every user. In this case, you probably could do it with the dynamic options here, but it's just so much easier just to have one link for everybody. So I'm just going to not have a real link, just put the homepage URL in here and go back out here and show you all we have is edit profile and log out. Come back here and save. It should now have a My Courses option. Come back out here, refresh, and we have a My Courses option. So we just added a link. You can have as many links in here as you want. Depends on what kind of site you're running. We can also change the style options for that panel, and that is the after login panel right down here. We have all these options. We can make our image size bigger. It's quite large. I want to change the border radius to 0. That's for the image. I don't want to change that. I want to change the border radius of the panel itself because I don't like this circular look. So I'm going to change the border radius to 0. Update. Now we have our square borders. We can change it for the menu as well. The image didn't get too much bigger. Let's see if we make that image bigger. Let's see how big that is. Nice big image if we want it there. We can give it a border radius of 50%. And then we have, hopefully, a round image. Yeah, there we go. Now we have a round image. The image is way too big for that purpose. But you get the idea. You can customize this however you want. And there we have all the settings for the login and registration options and forgot password options for our nice little login panel widget inside the Plus add-ons. And we did this on a dedicated login page. I'm now going to show you how you can add this login widget to, say, a navigation menu on the front end of your website. To do this part, you do need Elementor Pro. And the reason is we need to have our templates. If we go to Templates and Theme Builder, we can't create a custom navigation because we don't have that ability in the free version of Elementor. So if I go to Plugins and just activate my Elementor Pro, if you don't have Elementor Pro yet and you want to get it, there's a link in the description down below. It is an affiliate link. It does not cost you any more to buy through that link, but Elementor sends me a commission, which helps me keep making these videos for you. So if you do buy through that link, I really appreciate it. So now we have Elementor Pro turned on. We go to Elementor Templates again, Theme Builder. Let's click on Add New and choose Header. Let's call this Main Nav, Create Template. And I'm going to choose this one here. You can pick any one you want. You can make your own. The point of this isn't how to make this menu system. The point is how do we get that login widget in there. So let's go to our widgets, go to Login. Here's the one we want from the Plus add-ons. We drag and drop it right up into here. And now we have this big old login in the main navigation, which is not what we want. So we switch the style. Well, first we want to switch the select to login and register. So we have the two tabs that we want. And in fact, this one is not customized to what we want. So I'm going to go back to the page where we have it. I'm just going to copy this and paste it over here. Let's delete this one. Paste it right there. Now we have the one that we created previously on that other page. I'm going to change the select style to a button hover. I'm going to move this to the right. I'm going to put this in another column. So we have our main menu on one side, which is this one right here. Let's change this to the nav menu, where we have an actual set of navigation options. So we have our home services, account, contact, and this will be the login. And when I hover over this, you can see our menu or our options are appearing for signing up and logging in. That's pretty slick. So I want to customize this a little bit. I want to center this vertically. So I'm going to go to the column options, vertical align, middle, and I want to change the appearance of this. So let's go to here and find the button options, click hover, pop-up button. Currently it's a star. I want to have this be a person, a head. You know the one I want. I just want to have like this little guy with the head and shoulders without being inside the box. This one's close enough for the sake of time. and I want to remove the button text, and I want to remove all the background styling of the button. So if I go to Style, see if we can find this hover click pop-up button. That's what we want. Let's make the icon bigger. That's too big. Let's make it like that. And then I want to change the background type to transparent. So there's no background there. I want to change or turn off the border. I should have turned off that blue border there, but it didn't. Border radius of 0. That is affecting that border, but it's still there even though I turned it off. Let's turn on the border. Let's just change this to nothing. Okay, then plan B, let's change the border color to transparent. Still there. What if that's not the border? Let's just save this and see how it looks in the front end. Publish. What do you want to show this? We want to show this header on the entire site. Save and close. And now we need to go to a page that's not our login page, because our login page doesn't have the header. And I have a page that I want to go to. It's a contact form page. Well, first let's log out using a little login panel here, or our after login panel. Let's go to this page that will have the header, and there we have our header. We hover over this, and we have all our stuff. Login, sign up, all the options we set earlier for this login form. I notice when I hover, the border goes away. So let's see if I can finally get this thing to go away. Go to normal, go to color, set the transparent. Now it's gone. There we go. Update that. So now our border is gone, which is great. Let's change this from being a hover to being a button click. As easy as that. Come back out here, refresh, someone clicks on it, and now the options appear. Clicks on it again, it goes away. We can change this to a button pop-up. Update that. Refresh. Now we have a pop-up that works the same way as our form did a minute ago. And we do have alignment options. So as we change these options from these style types, we see our drop-down alignment options. We have left, right, and center. We can see them right in the back-end editor. When I click, this is now aligned to the right. If it's to the left, it's now on the left. Even though those seem flipped, this seems like it's to the right, other one seems like it's to the left. For the button pop-up, we lose the alignment option for the drop-down, but we keep the button alignment and content alignment. For button hover, we also have a drop-down option. So there we have all the options. We can create great looking tabbed login and register forms and add them to our menus if we want to. Just so you have an idea of what you can do with this thing, I'm going to go to the actual page on their website, the Plus Addons website, and scroll down a little bit, and we're going to see some great looking login forms. You see them already as I scroll down, but there's some functional ones that you can play around with, where you can see different styles, different layouts. Here we have the Facebook and Google sign-ins. Here we have it a navigation bar on hover. Here we have another tabbed one. We change the text here to create profile instead of sign in or sign up. Here we have on click in the navigation bar. Here's just a login form. Here's a login and sign up form. You get the idea. There's a whole lot of great stuff you can do with this plugin and its login ability. Here we have the advanced moving or motion dividers with the login form, which is pretty awesome. Here we have a login form with an off-canvas widget. So if I click on here, it comes in from off-canvas. If you want to know how to do this, I have a tutorial on creating off-canvas menus. Click the card up above or the link in the description down below to take you to it, and then you can create an off-canvas menu just like that, super simply. That's a great looking sign up and login form right there. Here's another one. Here's another one. Another one. And here's something that's even cooler. Something you might have noticed as I'm scrolling through these login forms is this copy button that appears on the right-hand side. This is built into the Plus Addons. It is a copy-paste functionality that works across domains. Earlier we copied and pasted within the same site, which is a feature in Elementor. This is a feature that comes with the Plus add-ons where you can copy and paste between domains. If I click on copy, it's processing, it's been copied. I can copy this into my website. As long as I've gone to the Plus settings, I've gone to the widgets, and I make sure that the cross domain copy paste is turned on. So make sure it's purple, click on save, then go to any page where you want to add this. Let's add to this one. I'm going to refresh this to make sure the setting's been applied. And I'll click here and I'll right click, and we have new options in this menu called Plus Copy and Plus Paste. Plus Copy will copy whatever it is to your clipboard that you can then paste to a different website, a different domain. Plus Paste allows you to paste from a different domain. I click on Plus Paste, and here we have that login form that we saw on their website. And it's right here, fully integrated, fully customized. It has everything set up and ready to go. You have to test it to make sure it is all ready to go, but it should all just work out of the box just like that. It's a pretty cool feature to have, and it comes with this add-on. If you like what you see in this tutorial, or you want to check out the Plus add-ons, go to this website, click on the link down below to the tutorial where I walk through all of the widgets. There are a lot of them. This is them right here. I go through every single one, show you how they all work. I have dedicated tutorials to a number of them. I'm creating a whole playlist for the Plus add-ons on my channel. Plus listing is options for listing type pages. We go through all that in the tutorial. Plus extras is things that are added to existing widgets inside Elementor Free and Elementor Pro. And Plus designs are page templates and UI blocks that you can add. All of this comes with this plugin. I go through all of it in the tutorial I just mentioned. If you want to get this plugin, there is no free version, only paid versions. You can go for a 1 website license for $39 a year, 3 websites for $79, unlimited for $119, and that is per year. If you don't renew after a year, you will not get updates. You can also switch to lifetime pricing, and you see lifetime pricing right here. And it is a great deal because this is one of the most awesome plugins I've encountered for Elementor. There's a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. And the very next thing you should do is check out this tutorial right here. It is the one I just mentioned where I go through all of the widgets, all the extras, all the listings, all the templates for the Plus add-ons plugin. Make sure you check that out. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you click subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any future videos. My name is Bjorn Allpass from WP Learning Lab. Until next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.